Hey, for this assignment, we do need to make sure that our names are on the project reference image. You should have submitted this and printed it out in black and white. I do want you to put down what block that you're in. This is W2. Also, on your large sheet of paper, somewhere in a corner, write your name down lightly with pencil in case we mess up so we can use it. That's the back side right here that I put my name on. We're then going to flip it over. We're going to use this later. There is a more advanced way to use a grid that would take a long time for me to teach you, so I'm just going to show you how to simplify this. So I want you to identify where your horizon line is. A horizon line is the horizontal line that represents the separation between the sky and the ground. So we are simplifying this into sections. So I've got a lump of trees. I've got my mountainscape right there in the background, another big mountain right here. There's some more trees in this area. I'm not going to outline all that because that will look silly for me. So I'm breaking it down into more simplified shapes. So I had triangles, and now I'm doing, in a way, just lumps, just outlining where this is so I can break down the shape a lot easier, the image, without doing all the inside details first. Some people are really good at looking and copying it exactly as you see. I'm not as good as that when I'm in a large classroom with all of you because my focus isn't on that. So since there's so many of us in here, I do recommend is what I'm trying to say. Separating this into large areas such as where's your middle ground, foreground, and background. So I've got my big background right here with the clouds and the mountains. And then in the foreground, I have some cliffs. I have some trees that are closer up to me, just so that you can see how this is separated, and hopefully it will help you think about this easier. So I did cut down the paper for you, and I can cut it down again. If this large sheet of paper is too overwhelming for you, I'm happy to help you out with this. So the pencil that we're using first is an H pencil. H pencils are really, really light, but it is hard to erase an H pencil if you press down really hard. You want to draw lightly with it, so it barely shows up on the page. Since it is hard to show up on the page, I do need to use a darker pencil. Nah, I'm fine. I'm chill. I can do this. So I'm going to draw my horizon line first. I do have large yardsticks in the back of the room, and I'll get those out for all of you. But my horizon line isn't in the middle. It's slightly above the middle. So I am going to draw a straight line going through the paper first. Again, I'm going to draw a little bit harder so that you all can see this on my recording. And then I'm going to start drawing out where I see a little lump of trees. Going to start marking out where I want my mountains to be. It's okay if it's not exactly the same as your picture. You're allowed to make changes on this. So I'm just, again, marking out a general area, and I like to do generalized shapes like ovals just to represent this whole big part. Kind of looks like an oval and a triangle to me. I'm looking again at my picture. I had it off to the side because you couldn't see it. So drawing that big circle allowed me to visualize just how big this area is that I'm working in. So this is how I block out my drawing quickly while not being too hyper detailed with my design. So again, I am looking for the larger sections as I'm doing this, and then I'm putting in where I see details such as trees. This is just a generalized sketch. It's not a good sketch. It's a really fast one. It doesn't have to be hyper detailed at first. I just want to make sure that I can fit my whole design onto my paper first. So I'm making my mountains a little bit bigger than in the picture, and then they come down off onto the side, and a little wiggle, and another triangle right there to represent where that mountain is. I do want to draw really big clouds back here because that's what attracted me to this photo, was the really big, lumpy, cute clouds. So I want you to start marking out where you see everything in your design. those of you who are sitting in my classroom right now, you can start drawing right now. You don't have to watch me do all of this. I'm just recording this so that kids who were absent can watch it, and so that you're allowed to go back and look at some examples. If you ending up want to copy what I'm working on, you can draw the same thing that I'm drawing. I don't mind. I have more pictures of this. I'm making this look like a cake for now. So I need to mark out where all of my detailed areas are at for now. Like now that I have where my mountain is, I'm starting to draw where this castle is. And then once I have all that marked out, I am going to draw where my shadows are by adding lines like this. These are my hatching lines that you practiced. This is how we're going to start our dark areas. Let me zoom in so you can again see that. If you're drawing some dark areas, say where this tree is, in our little practice worksheet, we did practice doing textures. So since I know this is a tree, I am going to mark out where I see my shadows. I'm not going to go really heavy or really thick because it is very difficult to go over. Oh, this is my broken pen that someone jammed up. Can you see how broken it is? Gosh, that was a sad day for me. It still actually works. It's just hard to draw with. I know now that when I start drawing this tree, that this area is really dark, and I can start doing my leaf textures in this area. Now, some of the examples that I printed out for you are a little bit more stylized. And what I mean by stylized is that the lines don't look realistic. They have a pizzazz or a style to them. One example I can do for these mountains here, once I start to add my style, is I could make all of these lines have zigzags in them. So in your areas that are, this is like a medium dark, I'm making my zigzags for the mountains close together, but not too close together. So we are going to practice on our printout. I want you to outline the big sections, and I want you to practice what type of lines are you going to put in that area. Are you going to do swirly lines, zigzag lines, or you're going to do it all cross-hatching? Are you awesome at cross-hatching, or is that still really scary to you? You don't have to do the whole thing like this. I just want to know where you're marking it out. What are you going to do for your shadows? Are you going to make your clouds look swirly, or are you going to have them be like lines? Like obviously a cloud should have some more lumps in it. So I think for my cloud, in my areas that have shadows, I'm going to draw just a few circles. And this is going to make it look more whimsical and more artsy and less having to worry about making it look just like the photo. So a lot of my background in the clouds is really light. So I'm not going to add a bunch of swirls because my clouds are white. So I wouldn't fill them in. That would look really silly. I would only fill them in the areas that have shadows to represent that this is a cloud. So what I want you to do today and for next class is to work on outlining and adding your detailed areas and start to mark out with pencil. I was only using the pen in this example to show you why I was marking those dark areas out. So mine is really complicated. It's going to take some time for me to draw, and I am going to spend a lot of time working on adding in where the shapes of the tree is. But one thing I'm not going to spend a lot of time in is adding shading using my pencil, because it's hard to add pen over pencil. So your expectations for this class and next class are to outline and to practice drawing with marker or pen what type of stylized lines you want on the inside of your reference drawing. I love you.